Hello there. In this video, I'm going to explain the role of the third speaker in a debate in the WSDC or World Schools Debating Championship style debate format. Now, in my personal view, the third speaker has the toughest job in the team, has the toughest job in the debate. Why is that? You do not go into a debate expecting a first speaker either on the proposition team or the opposition team to name an argument or list an argument as part of the case division at the head of the debate to be delegated to the third speaker. A third speaker is generally not expected or even allowed, rather, to bring up new material or a new argument in the debate. What the third speaker has to do, however, is take the key contributions of both sides in the debate and identify them as the main clashes, the areas of contentions where the two sides have mainly engaged each other on through the course of the debate up to his or her turn. Identify that on behalf of his or her team and present to the adjudicator by way of comparisons. Okay, here's a clash. This is where the two sides mainly collided or mainly had a disagreement upon through the course of this debate thus far. Look at the contributions that my team has made to that disagreement, to that dialogue, to that exchange, to that conversation, to that fight in this debate. Look at what we've contributed. Look at how it stands by the end of the debate. Because whatever the other side did to attack or bring it down or question or criticize it, whatever they tried to do to bring it all down, it's still standing because it is defensible. How and why is it defensible? Demonstrated by way of analysis, comparative analysis with what has come from the other side, right? Compared to what rebuttals or criticisms against, their attacks against that content that has come from the other side. And look at how it's defensible and how we have successfully defended it because it is defensible, and look at how it's standing. Now compare that to the contribution within the same clash, within the same contention from the other side. Look at what they've contributed to this debate and why is it not standing. Explain why it's not standing relative or in comparison to whatever your team has contributed in the course of the debate, through the course of the debate, in that contention, in that clash. Why is it not standing? Because whatever they put up, it wasn't defensible enough. Why? We attacked it as such, we tried to take it down as such, and we succeeded as such because it's not defensible as such. Relative in comparison to what we've offered. Now compare these two. See what's standing on our side, what's left standing within this clash, and what's not standing on that side. Even so, then present scenarios. Okay, given the picture, the narrative that all that contribution from the other side is painting, what is the best case outcome, best case scenario outcome versus the best case scenario outcome of what we've presented that's still standing in this debate, right? That we've contributed to in terms of in what we've done with this clash, what we've given to this clash, right? So what scenario does it paint? Take the best case of that. Now take their best case, take our best case. And our best case is better than the best case. And if that's not good enough, okay, let's take the worst case scenario. Murphy's Law. Everything goes wrong in the world, right? Let's say only the worst happens. So let's take the worst case scenario. If the motion stands today, let's say if I'm a proposition third speaker, this is the outcome of a decision in favor of the motion going by this clash. Versus the worst case outcome going by this clash from what they've contributed to this clash if the motion would fall on their side, the absolute worst case. And yet our worst case is better than the worst case. How? It is your job as a third speaker, if you're a third speaker, to present it as such through analysis, comparative analysis of content from the two sides to the adjudicator, to convince the adjudicator that your best case is better than the best case from the other team and the worst case on your team's end. Given a successful outcome, let's say you're a proposition third speaker, if the motion stands, is better than the motion falling on their side, even in the worst case. Okay, so it's better. Best case is better than the best case. Worst case here better than their worst case. That's what you're expected to do as a third speaker. And then if you're really good really, really good third speaker. This is what you would generally do. Go to a third comparative of scenarios within a clash. Take our worst case, and even our worst case, should the motion stand, if I'm a prop third speaker, will be better than the absolute best case on the opposition's side if the motion were to fall, given what has been contributed. Of course, if you're an opposition third speaker, you do the exact reverse, right? Vice versa. Goes without saying, right? So, best case better than their best case, our worst case better than their worst case, our worst case better than their best case, right? So that's how you conclude, or rather present a clash, and you conclude it with a summary of what I've done in this clash, what I've demonstrated to you, why the content that's contributed by my team in this debate forming this clash with the other side is standing, why content contributed by the other team to this debate forming this clash does not stand. And then the scenarios, and then the summary of things, right? Presented that way. So a lot of it is all about attacking based on it's not standing on that side, or they failed to take down stuff on our side and it's still standing. The arguments are still standing. They're successfully arguing this because of the merits here. They just are that strong, and the merits there are just lacking as such, so on and so on. So a third speaker is really very much an attacking speaker. So what do you do once you're done with the clash? Conclude the clash with a summary and then move on to the next clash. Generally, with 8-minute speeches given to first and second speakers on both sides in WSDC style debate, you expect at least one clash, generally about 2-3 clashes. If you have a third speaker in a WSDC style debate, stand up and tell me, I've got 4 clashes for the House today, I've got 5 clashes for the House today. I'm thinking through an exchange of 32 minutes, how do you come up with so many issues or so much to fight about, right, on the topic? And how much can you present across those 5 clashes that's really fruitful in making a consideration whether a motion stands or it does not, no matter what the motion is, right? So I'm not saying it's not possible all the time. You'll definitely be illogical if it's more than 3 clashes, but generally you don't hear that many. And if you do, generally you don't get too much good stuff coming out of that, right? So generally you have 1 clash, 2 clashes, or 3 clashes at times. And there could be a possibility where a third speaker, even an absolutely honest person, someone with integrity, you have a debate where you see, okay, it's been a passing ship debate, the two sides have not exactly collided because one side is running away from the debate, or the two sides have just failed to engage or have nothing in common. Those are the worst sorts of debates, right? Passing ship debates. So be very honest and tell the adjudicator, we don't have a clash today. And it will be your job then to defend your team by going, okay, this is what we did to try to engage the other side, but we did not get an engagement from the other side, and hence there was no clash. This is a clashless debate. You generally too often don't get third speeches like that, because generally third speakers in such debates will make stuff up and say, okay, there was engagement anyways, despite there being none, being pretty obvious up to that point, there being no clash, but they would make something up. But third speakers with integrity will be very honest, and this will probably work for them if they do it right, that there was no clash, and we tried to engage with the other side, we tried to form clashes, but they did not want to take us on these aspects. They did not want to enter this debate where it should have been. They ran a parallel debate, and how that's not necessarily a bad thing on our side, because we did what we were supposed to do in this debate. They did not do what they were supposed to do in this debate, and hence the passing ship debate is their fault, Mr. Speaker. They take responsibility for there being no clash. Therefore, this is a non-debate. They lose the debate because it's their fault that it's a non-debate. That's how you're supposed to present it, right? So generally, the structure of a third speaker speech is you get up, greet the House, be nice, courteous, and whatever clarifications there are to be made, because there have been misrepresentations or misunderstandings or whatnots. Things have been fuzzy, ambiguous through the course of the debate. Some issues are lingering. There's lack of clarity on some technicalities, whatnots, right? That have lingered or have persisted up to your turn in the debate, whether you're a third proposition speaker or opposition speaker. Clarify those, right? And then a couple of handful of short rebuttals for what the speaker before you from the other side has, against what that person may have said that warrant a rebuttal or warrant rebuttals very quickly, because most of your rebuttals should be built into your clashes anyways, the bulk of your rebuttals, right? So some quick rebuttals that you need to make to quickly address what is an immediately standing concern coming from the speaker who has spoken just before your turn from the other side. Make that rebuttal and then identify the clashes for the house, for the speaker rather, or the house, the adjudicator. What are the clashes today from the perspective of my team? Clash number 1, yada yada yada. Clash number 2, yada yada yada. Clash number 3, yada yada yada. Let me get on with my first clash and present the clash with signposting. Okay, this is my clash. This is what it's about. This is what we contributed. This is what they contributed. This is where it's standing on our side. This is not standing on their side, etc. The best case scenarios, the worst case scenarios. Our worst case better than their best case. So on. Summarize. Move on to the next clash. Then, after you're done with presenting all the clashes as such, summarize the speech. Tell the house what you've done, what you've achieved. Don't go into this thing about they said this, we said this. These were their arguments, these were our arguments. Don't do that kind of rehashing or regurgitation, right? Lazy summary. Don't do that. Go into analysis. Make your own analytical assessment and present why you have the winning arguments or the winning case, right? That's the third speaker's job, right? So, proper op, fundamentally the role is the same, right? It's just that one comes after the other. The opposition third speaker is definitely going to be the last speaker of the house before the replies, right? But that's the third speaker's role. And it's a pretty tough job because there's a lot of intellectual horsepower that has to be applied after the debate has started, because you cannot prepare for the third speaker's speech, which some present-day young debaters like to do, and some not so young ones either, and that gets very problematic because you can't tell the future unless you're clairvoyant. You don't know what's going to happen in the debate, what's going to transpire in the debate before the debate actually begins and you see an engagement between the two teams, right? So you can't prepare for a third speaker speech. You just know what your team is going to present before you get into the debate, what they're going to argue before you get into the debate. Then when you get into the debate, you have to take your own team's material and take the other team's material, and you have to do a comparative live in real time while the debate is going on. You have to listen and make it right while you're part of the debate, and then you have to deliver the clashes. So it's a lot of hard work, a lot of intellectual horsepower, and a lot of attacking, a lot of cleaning up as well, the mess that will happen across the first 4 speeches that come in a debate, right? So it's a lot of hard work, and generally as a debate coach, I tend to field my very best, strongest debaters more often than not always, but more often than not in the third speaker roles. And generally I find that people who prefer to do third speeches tend to be the strongest speakers on the team. No bias. I myself have never been someone to like the third speaker role the most for myself. I've always preferred going first in debate, but still the strongest speakers on a team tend to be the third speakers for a particular reason, right? Hard work, a lot of intellectual horsepower required. You need to apply a lot of smarts while the debate is going on, right? So that's how it's done. All the best.